Benchmarking the construction industry, an adaptation of the World Management Survey methodology. Paper ID 57. Authors Mauricio Bonilla and Tito Castillo. Introduction. Benchmarking is considered a tool for self-assessment and comparison of companies that enables evaluation of the performance of a company compared to its competitors. Several benchmarking initiatives in the construction industry have been presented in many countries such as United Kingdom, United States, Chile, Brazil, Singapore and Hong Kong, Colombia, South Korea. There are different types of benchmarking. Good practices seek to compare the tools that lead to better performance. The performance of a company depends largely on the management practices adopted by each organization because they are directly related to the profitability, productivity, and survival rates of the company. In the construction, best management can make companies increase their productivity up to 32%. In manufacturing, retail, education, and health, Bloom and Van Reenen, 2007, defined 18 management practices, arranging them into 4 groups of dimensions of their research. They conducted telephone interviews aimed at company managers and used the World Management Survey methodology. In construction, the Construction Industry Institute, CII, has proposed a framework that lists 165 questions with 11 best practices. They used surveys to collect the data. Ramirez et al., 2004, present 15 management dimensions that were adapted by Opitz et al., 2016. Ramirez used surveys for work and office personnel, and Opitz used personal and telephone interviews. Cha and Kim, 2018, proposed a method of measuring project performance, focusing on 7 performance areas. They collected project data through surveys and bibliographic compilations. In the aforementioned investigations, interviews, and extensive surveys were applied because a large number of practices grouped in dimensions were evaluated. Several questions of the questionnaire were not answered by total or partial ignorance of each dimension, thus generating possible biases in the data obtained. Objective. The objective of this research was to develop a benchmarking exercise of minimum management practices in construction, using a website to obtain information from construction companies through an adaptation of the World Management Survey (WMS) methodology. For this purpose, surveys were developed with a lean approach, applying a standardized management benchmarking in the construction industry can help construction companies assess and compare their lean management practices with their intention of proposing continuous improvement actions to reduce waste and improve value generation. Methodology. Step 1. Scope. This research was applied to the management of construction companies that are dedicated to the provision of construction services. The World Management Survey (WMS) methodology was adopted for the development of this study. An advantage of that methodology is that it applies validated questionnaires with lean practices common to the industry in general and that were applied in the construction benchmarking. Step 2. Development of the questionnaire. The dimensions of talent management, goals, operations management, and performance monitoring were adapted for the construction industry. 3 important dimensions were added in the construction industry such as occupational health and safety, leadership and change management, and enterprise risk. For the last 3 dimensions, questionnaires and questions were developed through matrices, which have specific processes, objectives, and activities developed in each particular area. Each question was developed considering the why, how, and what is achieved in each activity analyzed. The answers have absolute scales, such as those of Bloom and Van Reenen, 2010, where each management practice can reach a score of 1, worst practice, and 5, best practice. Step 3. Testing and validation of the questionnaire. The instrument was validated using the criteria of experts from many construction companies, who made judgments and evaluations of the entire questionnaire. Afterwards, the corresponding corrections and adjustments were made to add or remove elements to the questionnaire, and the test run of the evaluation instrument was made with construction companies. Once the surveys were processed and classified, the Cronbach alpha test was used to measure the reliability of the type of internal consistency of the survey. Step 4. Creation of a website. Because scheduling interviews demand several resources, and many times it is not possible to obtain true answers from the interviewees, a website was created to openly apply surveys to companies interested in evaluating their management performance. Step 5. Sample selection. The sample size accepted for this research was based on the realization that construction companies are reluctant to share sensitive information, as this was the first study of its kind within Ecuador. Because of this research is exploratory and the findings are preliminary, justifying the use of non-profitability sampling for convenience. Nearby construction companies willing to participate in this research were chosen. Step 6. Data collection. The data was collected through the website, which was disseminated through the construction chambers that associates most of the construction companies and single constructors. Results: 7 dimensions and the 34 lean management practices defined in this study. A website was created to collect the data to carry out the benchmarking exercise between construction companies. The results obtained by the construction companies are presented in real time on the website using bar graphs and radars. A total of 58 surveys were obtained, leaving 41 viable companies, 13 micro companies, 18 small, 8 medium, and 2 large companies. The result of the alpha, the Cronbach coefficient, was 0.91, which indicates that the internal consistency of the evaluation instrument is excellent. The management practices scores were presented by histograms simulating Bloom and Van Reenen, 2007. The scores of the 7 dimensions analyzed were calculated, obtaining a national average of 2.41, mode of 1.83, and median of 2.40. According to the position of the median, mode, and average indicates a skewed curve to the right. This also was confirmed using Pearson's bias equations. S1 equals 1.09, S2 equals 0.06. Most of the results are within the range of 1.81 and 2.60, and a few companies have scores greater than 3. The average in the construction industry of Ecuador is close to the score of 2. According to Bloom, Kretschmer, and Van Reenen, 2006, this means that the companies evaluated are poorly managed. The cause of these results may be due to a lack of external competition. This graph shows the construction industry of Ecuador. The scores of the 41 construction companies were transformed to a percentage scale by means of equation 1 defined by Ramirez et al. 2004, where companies can reach a poor score 0 to 0.25, bad 0.25 to 0.50, good from 0.50 to 0.75, and excellent from 0.75 to 1. Among the micro companies, 6 dimensions are below average, indicating poor management. On the other hand, small construction companies obtained dispersed scores ranging from bad management to good management. The medium-sized construction companies have stable scores since all dimensions are above average and suggest good management practices. Finally, the big construction companies get good and excellent scores. Conclusions. During this study, 7 dimensions and 34 management practices applied to the construction industry were defined. These were determined through a literature review and statistically validated with experts from different construction companies to be the minimum necessary to characterize construction management. By adapting the World Management Survey (WMS) methodology, it was possible to create a tool to develop an external benchmark. A website collected information from 41 companies, which were able to evaluate their management practices. These data allowed to measure differences and diagnose management practices in different size construction companies. The main contribution to this research is a questionnaire to evaluate the minimum common management practices for construction companies with a lean approach. The website containing the questionnaire is available for free through the link http://www.benchmarkingempresasconstructoras.com. Thank you.